Good morning, Fearless fam, and welcome to the very first Mental Health Monday. So we've got Mental Health Monday, we got Travel Talk Tuesday, and then my Wednesday and Thursday videos are going to be a surprise. If you are not subscribed to this channel, we call ourselves the Fearless Fam here. We are a group of fearful badasses who believe in choosing love over fear and not allowing your anxiety to rule your life and your decisions. So be sure to subscribe. Today is all about anxiety and panic coping mechanisms. The reason I wanted to make this video is because there was a very recent moment where I totally panicked. I don't think I had a full-on panic attack, and I think that has to do with what I did next. And I don't think that it got me from panicking to all better. It just got me from panicking to managing my anxiety. Your goal in that moment is to just do anything except for have a total mental breakdown. So it's a quick spiral downwards and a long one up. A lot of my coping mechanisms have to do with self-care. For me, it's important when I'm feeling really panicked and anxious to remind myself, my brain, and my body that I care about me. To show myself love is a way for me to manage my anxiety. Your methods for managing anxiety could be totally different, so give these a try. I'll put a link down below to a website that has helped me many times. The last thing I want to say before I get into these methods of coping is that the very first step before you can start coping with your anxiety or managing your anxiety, you need to recognize your anxiety, and that'll help you big time to know when to pull out these coping mechanisms. Alright, let's get into the fun stuff. Literally the first thing I did when my husband Eric was like, maybe you should let me take care of the dog and you go take care of yourself. First thing I did, I went and put on a face mask. And my favorite face mask, it's called Cup of Coffee. It is by Lush. I love Lush products. It smells like coffee and it has this syrupy, textured, smooth, awesome feeling to it, and you kind of just lightly scrub it into your face, and so it's really good for your skin. At least it works really well for my skin, and it's also really soothing, I think, because it's kind of cooling. It's really soothing to put on, and then you have to leave it on for 5 or 10 minutes, and that waiting period always ends up being relaxing for me because I'm like, well, I can't do anything. I have a face mask on, so I just get to sit here and chill. And also, it is really hard to take yourself seriously when you have a face mask on, which is another aspect about face masks that I absolutely love, because when you're feeling panicked and you have a moment where you can't even take yourself seriously anymore and you just have a weird random outburst of laughter, it's a great moment. Second thing I did after the face mask, I took a long hot shower, and it was life-changing. And I did all the things, all the lady things, where you shave your legs and you leave the conditioner on the tips of your hair for an extra long amount of time. And I used all my favorite products. There's this body wash by Lush. Again, I'm obsessed with Lush, called Happy Hippie. I've been using it for years now. It smells like grapefruit and fresh and uplifting smelling. I use extra. I get it nice and sudsy. It smells super good. And then my face wash, I am obsessed with this face wash, you guys. And everything I'm mentioning right now, I'll have linked down below because these are products that I seriously love. The face wash that I use smells like coconuts. Seriously, it is the best smelling face wash. It feels amazing. It feels cleansing. And I think it's vegan and all the sulfate free, cruelty free, all that kind of stuff. It's a happy face wash. Next thing I do before I even towel off, I'm in the shower. I turn off the shower. I'm just dripping wet standing there. I use an essential oil mixture that I mixed up myself. Use it on my face, my body. I use grapeseed oil on my skin. It's actually really good for eczema. And I put in a bunch of drops of lavender. I'm not really sure how many. It's kind of a guessing game, to be honest. But yeah, lavender essential oil for me is really awesome. It's a very calming smell. So I mix grapeseed oil with lavender in this little container that I had left over from an old aromatic body oil that I used up completely. And then I put an essential oil in my hair as well. So for my hair, I use argan oil. And yes, like I said, I'm doing this before I even towel off. And if you're curious about essential oils for anxiety, I know the top 2 that I have heard of that work really well for anxiety. For me, number 1 is lavender. I love it. It's so soothing smelling to me. And number 2, from a lot of people that I've heard, especially for people with flight anxiety, I've heard of people using peppermint oil. So essential oils really do work super well for me. It might seem super hippy dippy to you, but for me it works great. And I have kind of a problem with essential oils, in case you can't tell. I have quite a few, and a lot of these are from a set that's actually very very affordable that was gifted to me from Amazon, so I'll have that link down below as well. And then afterwards, if you're curious, after the body oiling and everything, I just towel off like normal. It's like I come out and my skin is just like immediately moisturized. I don't have to douse myself in lotion. So on the same kind of thought process, essential oils really work really well for me. So once I get out of the shower, the smell is starting to fade off just a little bit. So I turn on my essential oil diffuser, and this thing is freaking awesome. I asked for this for Christmas and it was like an awesome gift to get. Basically, you put in water and however many drops of essential oil that you want. You can mix them up. You can just do all one. This time I just did lavender. This thing does like a bunch of different colors, which is kind of cool. So if you have like a favorite color or a soothing color to you, you know, you can put that on. Otherwise, it just kind of spurts out a mist of essential oil. So it's diffusing the oil into, I think it's a vapor. So you've done a lot of like self body care. You got your essential oils going. The best thing for me to do to reflect on my own thoughts while also kind of distracting myself and going into a sort of meditation is paper cutting. And anyone can do paper cutting. It does take some practice. There's definitely a certain level of skill to it, and you have to be the right kind of person to enjoy it. Another really great alternative to paper cutting is a coloring book, like an adult coloring book. I put a list together of like all my favorite adult coloring books that I found on Amazon that are really awesome, because there are a lot out there, and I don't know about you guys, but I get overwhelmed when there's too many options. So I put together my favorites for you guys. I've definitely done adult coloring in the past and really enjoyed it and had great results from it as far as like my anxiety levels go. But for me, paper cutting is like, click the link above to go watch my video about opening my Etsy shop, which is filled with paper cutting stuff. It'll go into all this like detail about what paper cutting is and everything. So that's linked up above. One thing I find really interesting when I'm going through a moment of like panic or anxiety is that familiar things are so comforting to me. So I freaking love our new TV because on the remote there's a button that says Netflix, and I just push that button and I'm in this like gateway of familiarity. I usually go for Gilmore Girls or Parks and Rec. Could be a movie, music, books, whatever. Just any kind of media for me that's familiar is so comforting to me. When I was moving to China, that was my very first time in Asia ever, and I was freaking moving to a city in China I had just heard of several months before, which is Nanjing if you were curious. I was on the train and I couldn't stop like just bursting into tears and freaking out. I was just an anxious wreck, and luckily I had downloaded this book by Jenny Lawson called Let's Pretend This Never Happened. And all of a sudden I went from crying to laughing over like some really horrible things. And that's why I love Jenny Lawson. She writes about anxiety and life and ridiculousness and humor in a way that is like, it's just perfect. I love her writing. Go look at a sample on Amazon. I've got her 2 books that I've read linked down below. Go look at the samples and you'll get an idea of what I mean. For her second book, Furiously Happy, I actually listened to that on Audible and I was super impressed because the audiobook version was actually recorded by her. If you want to listen to that audiobook for free, go to the link down below, get 2 free audiobooks when you sign up for Audible. You can delete your subscription after that, and then you got 2 free audiobooks out of the whole thing. So just an option for you. She also has a website if you're just strapped for cash and you want to read some of her content but you don't want to shell out money for a book. Her website is totally free to browse and really funny. It's full of her writing. She'll make you feel like you're not so crazy after all. A coping mechanism that I have seen online for people, and actually it's less of a coping mechanism, it's kind of like a daily routine habit that you get into. Affirmations. So writing your own affirmation and repeating it to yourself every single day can change the way that you view yourself and can change the way that you deal with panic and anxiety. I really want to write my own affirmation that's like actually something that means something to me, because the only thing I can think of is basically like, you are a badass, which is not very specific or inspiring to me. So I've got a link down below that I'm going to use to write my own affirmation, and maybe you can too. You should definitely share that with me. You don't have to do it on like the comments or whatever. Send me a Facebook message. I've got my Facebook page linked down below. I post on it every single day and I also respond to messages on there. So if you ever want to chat with me, and I really want to hear your affirmations if you have an affirmation that you repeat to yourself every day. In any time of transition, I've always gravitated towards writing. And now that I have my YouTube channel and my blog and I'm very open with you guys, I don't find the need to write quite as much. But back in the day, this was huge for me. There's something about getting words out of your brain and putting them on paper that is so so powerful. And I'm not gonna lie, even though this could have been a free activity, I totally bought cute journals for it because I actually find that I am more likely to write, which is really good for me if I do have a cute journal. So I love these floral notebooks that I got from Amazon. It came in a pack of 3, but I can't find the third one. I don't know where it went. It's probably in China somewhere. My next tip for dealing with anxiety and in a moment of panic is get out and walk. I don't know what it is about walking. I don't know if it's being outside or just moving. I think the act of just moving in a regular pace, and I don't know. There's something about walking that really helps me. Next one is really similar, just getting out and getting fresh air. So I am so grateful that I have this amazing sunroom area, which you can't see the whole thing right now, but I'm in a sunroom and we have a fenced backyard, trees and flowers and plants and succulents and beautiful birds and squirrels and all kinds of things. So I am super fortunate to be able to walk outside and feel like I'm in nature and be in a private space. If you have a backyard that you underutilize, go start using it, because just sitting, even just opening the door to the outside and sitting in front of the door and just breathing is so soothing to me. The last one that I have for you is to scroll like crazy and binge on this website called The Latest Kate. So it's actually a Tumblr page. It's not its own website. I've got that link down below, of course, like everything else. She does drawings, and I don't know if it's graphic design or what it would be considered, but she does artwork. It's affirmations and inspiration for people who deal with anxiety and panic and low self-worth, all that kind of stuff. And scrolling through her Tumblr page and just reading some of the stuff that she has written on the artwork is really, really awesome. The very last coping mechanism that I have is hanging out with an animal. Being with animals, and for me it's dogs, just melts your worries away and it makes me so happy. I am so lucky to have a dog of my own, and I swear he knows when I'm going through some anxiety. Eric and I have done a lot of long distance, and I can do a video on that if you want to see that, but at one point he was in Taiwan, and I remember when he left for Taiwan I was a total wreck, and my dog knew it. And he just laid on top of me and licked my face. He literally, when I'm crying, he'll lick my tears off my face, which sounds kind of weird and creepy, but it's the cutest thing ever. Pets are so sweet. If you don't have a pet of your own and you're not allowed to have one wherever you're living, a great way to get out and be with an animal is either by volunteering at your local animal shelter, which is super fun, or sign up for Wag. I just started doing Wag, and it's a dog walking app. I freaking love it. So I make money by hanging out with people's dogs. It's great. I freaking love it. If you have a dog and you want to utilize the app, I have my code linked down below all the time, and you can get your first walk free. But for our purposes here, theoretically, if you don't have a pet and you're not allowed to have one in your apartment, you can totally still get out and be with animals. I also put a link down below to an animal shelter directory in the US. So if you live in the US and you want to find your local animal shelter, you can input your zip code and information into this search engine, and it'll give you opportunities to where you can go into an animal shelter and maybe volunteer. So those are all my coping mechanisms that I could think of this time around. I have a funny feeling that eventually, over time, I'm going to develop even more coping mechanisms and more ideas for dealing with moments of panic and anxiety when I'm in the heat of the moment, and I will be making a second video when that time comes. So thank you so much for watching, Fearless Fam, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, bye!